Hello everyone, hit like for me and let's go over our headlines because it's time for spoiler warning. And what a spoiler warning we've got for you. This is the Elimination Chamber special and we have plenty of headlines to dive into. We will be talking about a meeting very early on in Triple H's career as Chief Content Officer of the WWE, in which he named a number of people who would be his new generation, the next stage of WWE, the stars that he wanted, and how Rhea Ripley was one of the names at the top of that list. We're going to talk the main event of Elimination Chamber, the likelihood of Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax being just that. We're going to talk the pre-show match being added late in the day. We're also going to go over my Elimination Chamber predictions in full, and I'd like to hear your takes on that as well. We're going to talk the Rock's schedule and the build-up to WrestleMania. We're going to talk Brock Lesnar and subsequently CM Punk in 2K24. We're also going to be talking about Jennifer Pepperman, why she signed with AEW, who made the request or didn't make the request, how Bryan Danielson's involved, and how this relates to Tony Khan. We're going to talk about the media event that took place over the last couple of days around the Elimination Chamber in Australia and how literally nothing has come out of it. NXT Europe is going to give you an update on signings there, which to be clear are still nowhere near finalised, and we're going to end by talking about where Netflix is, what they're intending to do in the near future with WWE programming and other live programming as well. Their intention, to be clear, before we even jump into it, is to make TV viewing appointment TV again. So, as we get started, we've got 50 people here already. Please remember to hit that like button. We will be answering as many of your questions as we possibly can. After this first piece of news, we will go into predictions, in which case I'm going to want all of your opinions one by one so that we can dive into everything in detail. We will be hosting a live watch party for Elimination Chamber tomorrow. And thank you very kindly, Ed, a 10th month of channel membership. Says, hey Tom, you're excited for the breakfast buffet Elimination Chamber tomorrow. Breakfast special, and Tom, don't turn down breakfast in no way, shape or form. Our first piece of news is as regards Rhea Ripley and the Elimination Chamber. Now, a while ago, when Triple H was first made Chief Content Officer, he made a pitch to the powers that be, including Nick Khan, which stated what the next generation of top wrestler would be in Triple H's eyes. Jump in the chat right now. Let me know who you think he considered to be top names. We already know one because I'm about to start talking about her. But there's a number of others, some of which seem obvious, one of which, in fact two of which, weren't with the company when he made the list. One of them he brought back, one of them he isn't able to get back at this point in time, and one of them he will eventually get back. I remain certain of it. Amongst the names on that list were obvious choices such as Gunther, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes. Chad Gable's name was curiously one of the names mentioned. We also had Dakota Kai, who at the time was not with the WWE, Rhea Ripley, Swerve, and Samoa Joe. There are plenty of other names that I haven't been able to get, but those are the names I have been able to pick up. Now, a promise was made in that moment that Rhea Ripley would be pushed to the absolute top, and Triple H has followed through. Rhea Ripley has very nearly reached a full year as the Women's World Champion after winning the championship at last year's WrestleMania, and will go into WrestleMania as the champion. The Elimination Chamber is also a fulfillment of that promise, a promise that was made directly to Rhea Ripley that she would be the top name in the women's division, and as such one of the top names in the industry. They are treating her like the absolute cream of the crop, with the intention being long-term Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. It is a promise to Rhea Ripley that Triple H is carrying through. This is why I believe Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax will main event Elimination Chamber, primarily also because the women are no longer getting the main event of night one. So while some promises are being kept, some promises are being broken. As regards to pre-show match, technically a fifth match added to the show, more likely a sixth match, I'll get into that shortly. The pre-show match will be Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae against the Kabuki Warriors. This was an opportunity to get Indy Hartwell onto the stage, but also, to be fair, while Triple H is building up DIY, the Way still exist and the Way have not gone anywhere. So it's an opportunity for them in front of a hometown crowd for Indy Hartwell, but also in general, it's an opportunity that they haven't yet had the opportunity. It's an opportunity that they haven't yet had to get themselves involved and get their names in the lights. So it's a pretty big opportunity for Rhea Ripley, pretty big opportunity for an Indy Hartwell, and a pretty big opportunity for Drew McIntyre. Plenty more news to come. Be sure to keep hitting that like button if you haven't already. Let's go to the chat. Sean says hi. Hello, Sean. Bailey says the fact that WWE is having a PLE in Australia has nothing to do with Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes. It's about a remarkable woman who will become a face of the company. 100% correct. Sean says, did you watch the Elimination Chamber press conference? Tiffany got cheered by the Australia fans and she called Becky a has-been, which is absolutely false. Yes, but she does have personality. Richard says, hello, Tom. Meltzer said, there will be surprise at Elimination Chamber, but not The Rock. What should we expect? My predictions are incoming. Chris says, hello. Oh, I say Chris. Our local establishment says, hello, Tom. I'd imagine that's Bobby. Hello, Bobby. Nice to see you, mate. Sean says, do you see Bailey helping Indy and Candice win the belts? Bailey is in Australia. I do not see her helping them win the belts. I see her protecting them from maybe a further beatdown. The actual championships are likely to be held firm at least until this year's WrestleMania. Hey Mark, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Eric says, Indy actually gets a moment in her hometown. Hope it's Candice who takes a pin because I know they're not winning. As a typical tradition, usually you lose in your hometown. Leon says, hi Tom, hope you're doing well. Doing very well, thank you, welcome. Joey says, what up Tom, as well. Austin says, got to set my alarm for 5 a.m. I mean, if you're watching, if you want to be here for the watch party, be sure to set your alarms, otherwise you will forget. David Leary suggests Tiffany Stratton may have been on that list. She wasn't at the time, no. Joey says, do you have any news on the WWE tryouts in Australia? Do you expect anyone to get signed? I expect a couple of people to get signed, but I'm not aware of the nitty-gritty, as it were. Michael suggests Raquel, who actually started being pushed under Vince McMahon, and Triple H did not put her there that I'm aware of. Also, hi, Michael. Coup43 says, hello, Tom. How have you been? Been a while since I've been able to watch live. See you in here all the time, mate. See you in here all the time. All the time. Good to see you. Mark says, Tiffany, Gunter, Samoa Joe. I do feel Gunter's probably the most obvious one. Brad suggests Tiffany as well. Leon says, Rhea Ripley, Cody Rhodes, Gunter, and Io. Fair. Juan says, Bianca Belair and Tiffany Stratton. Love it. Nice to see you guys. Blue says, Tom, you once talked about the Women's Elimination Chamber without Rhea to be the main event. Hasn't it always made more sense for Rhea to do so, especially if the idea is for it to end with a standoff? Well, I did talk about that as an idea. As I've gotten more information about it, I don't think it's likely at this point in time. What I will say is that Elimination Chamber, the women's main eventing, is still about Rhea. Oh, we have trolls coming in here and just throwing stuff at a wall. Blue says, happy Triple H loves Chad as much as me. King Azza says, hey Tom, do you think there's going to be a massive surprise at Elimination Chamber like Rock entering the chamber? I've covered the surprises that I expect in a previous video. Eric says, Roman, not on the list. Dominic says, are you doing a SmackDown and Chamber watch along? No, yes. Chamber, we will be live. Rizal says, I'm surprised Io and Bianca aren't on the list for Triple H. They may have been. I've not been told that they're not. There are some that I've been told were not on that list, but we're not there yet. Yes, Ed, I do indeed have the cherry coke again. Gervin says, I was surprised Bronson Reed doesn't have a match at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Bronson is from Australia. Yes, but it doesn't make actual storyline sense to have him too involved at this point in time. Joey, we will be talking about NXT Europe a little later. Also says, according to SRS, he thinks Tama Tonga is WWE bound. Did you hear anything on it? Nope, he actually said that about a year ago now. One says, hey Tom, Dave Meltzer taking credit for saying Jennifer Pepperman is Mercedes Money's personal writer. She's not. Kelly says, hey Tom, mate, very happy to see you again. Very excited for tomorrow morning. Glad to hear it. Bailey says, it was discussed earlier, but Perth is not Indy Hartwell's hometown. She's from Melbourne, which is 2,700 kilometres away. Yes, but when it comes to hometown, technically they usually go for home country unless you're American. Hector says, hello Tom, with Australia, Germany and France to all hold PLEs this year, who would you like to see hold a PLE next? I'm hoping for possibly Mexico or Brazil in 2025. I'm sure they'll be announcing a UK one at some point soon, and there is, as I've mentioned previously, talk of a China WWE show. We'll see how it goes there. Blue says, when do you think they decided on Nia as Rhea's opponent in Elimination Chamber? With her going over Becky, could have been the plan for months. The decision was made before Nia returned to the company. King Azza says, hey Tom, do you think they will do the Solo and Cody Spike spot at WrestleMania and Cody will kick out at 2? The pop will be massive. It would be. They're kind of building towards it. I do think Solo Sikoa is going to get eliminated early on. Mark says, I beg when they start NXT Europe, they start it in London as it's close to me. One of the main reasons they have launched NXT Europe instead of NXT UK is because of Brexit, which makes it a lot more expensive to travel around Europe. They will not be basing in the UK. They'll be visiting rarely, but visiting nonetheless. Kervin hopes Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley delivers as the main event. Ed suggests India, Japan, Mexico and China as places for future worldwide shows. And Blue says, remember Drew's hometown extends to Wales. To be fair, anyone who is Scottish is naturally claimed by the English. They don't like it, but who cares? Ray says, I won't be watching SmackDown, I'll be watching TNA No Surrender instead. I will be watching neither. I already got the results for SmackDown, I'll catch up on it early on. We have 29 likes at the moment. One more gets us to 30. If you can be the one, I'd be very grateful. Let's share a little bit more news. In fact, no, let's do predictions now. So I'm going to give my predictions as I tell you about each match. I want you to tell me who you think is going to pick up the win. Essentially, we're inflating the chat rate. I'm not hiding it. That's what we're doing. It's going to be great fun. You guys are excited for it. Don't give me all at once. One at a time. So, pre-show match. Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae versus the Kabuki Warriors, the current women's tag team champions. Triple H has made a point of bringing back tag team wrestling, and both sets of tag team championships are being defended on the show. He's not yet ready with his women's division, hence why this one came out of nowhere, but he is ready with the men's division, which is why that match is pretty firmly locked in. The men's division is being built around DIY. The women's division will not be built around the Kabuki Warriors. Going to be built around Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. A little bit of fun for you there that you may quite enjoy. They're liking that tag team. They want to keep it going. As regards the actual match, we know why this is there. It's not necessarily cynical. It is a hometown pop. I have absolutely no issue with it. But the opportunity is more for a spectacle. The opportunity is not there to win the championships. Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell will not be leaving with those championships. The Kabuki Warriors will be leaving with the belts. Magwawa, not a fan of Australia apparently. Good to hear, Khalid. Razal says, any plans for a Japan PLE? They've talked about it for a while. They've not been able to make it happen. Khalid says, if WrestleMania comes to London, I'm definitely going. I don't see it. Brad says, Bronson's wife is currently pregnant and is due soon. That's why he's not there. Tell you who disputes that, Brad. Bronson Reed. Ed predicts the Kabuki Warriors. Aled predicts the Kabuki Warriors. Blue, Kabuki Warriors. Bailey says Kabuki Warriors. David Leary says Kabuki Warriors. Mark thinks Kabuki Warriors. Raymond thinks, hello Tom, hope you're well. Doing well, thank you Raymond, welcome to the show. Khalid thinks Kabuki Warriors. Raymond says Warriors will win. Brad says Kabuki Warriors. Leon says Kabuki Warriors. Razar thinks the Kabuki Warriors win. Chris says, I like that the WWE are doing a pre-show match. I just wish the WWE was more consistent with it, which is not unfair. Eric says, Tom, I was rolling with laughter when you tweeted that they got... That earlier, that was like 5 minutes ago, mate. Jack thinks Kabuki Warriors. Juan thinks Kabuki Warriors as well. King Adam says, Tom, do you see WWE doing another UK PLE at a Big 4 PLE pay-per-view? No, not a Big 4, but we will get UK shows again. We're no longer considered the top district that they aim for. Eric thinks Kabuki Warriors. Chris thinks Kabuki Warriors. And Leon says, remember when Bronson Reed beat Okada? Nope, I remember when Jonah did. Jonah. A while back. Next up, the Tag Team Championship match. We have the Judgment Day versus Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. I could go into a lot of detail here. I'm not going to. To make it really clear, I think the Judgment Day are winning this one, and I hope that Tyler Bate gets a bit of a beating in it. That's what I'm hoping for. Dunn and Bate are not considered key linchpins of the tag division, though they are helping to build the tag division. DIY is where the focus is at the moment. Judgment Day are likely to carry the championships into WrestleMania, thus essentially distracting you from the fact that Judgment Day also hold the briefcase. Finn Balor, at the very least, has held these championships, have them transferred to him, with the idea that they will convince him to stick around. So far, he's not signed a new contract, but the WWE are confident that they'll be able to convince him. To be clear, they've not yet been able to do so. Let me know your prediction in the chat. Macquarie says, I honestly love Australia, but I love the heel wrestlers. Logan, Judgment Day and Roman, my favourite heels right now. Hector says, can't say I had Nick Nemeth and Matt Riddle winning New Japan titles in 2024 on my bingo card. Pretty much the second they brought them in, I kind of saw where it was going. Koo says, is there any interest in re-signing the Iconics to help rebuild the women's tag division? Well, one of them's pregnant, so not at this point in time. The thing is, there has been interest since the beginning of Triple H's reign, as I reported at the time, in bringing back the Iconics. However, they keep being pregnant, so it's not quite happening. D. Freeman said, Kabuki Warriors for the win, think it'll be a nice match. Rickon says, where do you see Tama Tonga signing? Don't know. Don't even know if he's going to leave Japan. Pardon me. Aled says Judgment Day. Raymond says Judgment Day. Mark has British strong style. Alyssa says, when doses Cody Rhodes confront The Rock, Roman Reigns again, why made Cody Rhodes look bitch? He deserves better. No sense. Drew McIntyre. Should DQ beat Royal Rumble? David says Judgment Day. Carl has Judgment Day to retain. Ed says Judgment Day. Khalid says Judgment Day will win. Bailey says winner Judgment Day, with R-Truth making a surprise appearance. He is in Austria right now. Kind of. Steve Freeman says Judgment Day for the win. Zane says you're happy Pete Dunne's name is back. Butch was a rubbish name. I didn't hate it. Chris says Judgment Day takes the win, but the match should be a great showcase for both tag teams. I called the match a potential hidden gem over on Turnbuckle Talk. Joey says I think Finn will re-sign. He's been booked way better under Triple H compared to Vince. Vince is the one who put him in the Judgment Day. I wouldn't go that far. King also has Judgment Day because of R-Truth. D. Freeman, I've given you every piece of information I possibly can. If you don't know, Google it. It's there. Blue says, Tom, I've been here a while now, but I don't know the issue of bait. I understand if you don't want to talk about it, but it comes up every once in a while, so I'm curious. It's going to come up more. I legally cannot talk about it. It would be making an accusation. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to accuse Tyler Bate of anything. However, I'm not a fan of his, and that's okay. Joey, if you've seen my video on Drew McIntyre's contract, that is exactly what I think. Jack has Judgment Day. Wants to say, Tom, since Finn Balor is more likely to leave than Drew McIntyre according to you, where do you see him having his potential last match? WrestleMania. Joey says the Judgment Day were hardly on TV when Vince was booking it. Big difference. They were on TV less. That is a fair comment. However, I wouldn't say they were hardly on TV. They just weren't the focus point. As I mentioned, last year was the year of the Judgment Day, and I think you can see now that it's no longer the case. Kervin says, what's going to be match of the night? Let me get through my predictions, and then we can ask questions like that, Kervin, because it's a good question. The Men's Elimination Chamber. The Men's Elimination Chamber match will feature names as varied as Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre? Is Drew McIntyre the one I've missed? No. AJ Styles isn't even in it. What am I on about? Logan Paul and Kevin Owens. What am I doing? Logan Paul and Kevin Owens. And this seems like about as strong a lock as you can possibly get. Let's not mince words here. Let's say exactly who we think is going to win. I think we're all going to agree with this one. Drew McIntyre is going to be the one picking up the win. Drew McIntyre is going to win in the Elimination Chamber and go on to WrestleMania to face Seth Rollins. There's no point playing around. They've spent such a long time on this. I'm confident that shortly after WrestleMania, they will announce, after a couple of weeks of Drew McIntyre being off TV, that Drew McIntyre has signed a new contract, and then he will come back angrier than ever and aiming straight for Damian Priest. Leon says, I can't wait for the reports to come out that Drew re-signed, and a few days later for another report to come out stating he re-signed months ago, even though they said at the time he didn't. Well, people do find out more information as it goes. Raymond thinks Drew. Aled says Randy Orton. Rickan says, is Malachi Black happy in AEW? I can't speak to his personal temperament. I do find it journalists who say this person is thrilled, this person's happy, this person's upset about this. Unless they get it first hand, it's a difficult one. Ed says, sadly Drew, but I'd rather Randy. You're a Randy boy, Ed. David says Drew. Brad says Drew for the win. Blue says, you mentioned the Iconics growing the families, so I looked it up. Apparently Billy gave birth December 20th and Peyton announced her second pregnancy on the 24th of December. You weren't lying. Wow, okay, we have troll and a half. Wrestling anarchist. I'd imagine you think you're tough and cool. Do you think you're cool? Do you? Your name's Wrestling Anarchist, so you're a rebel, right? You believe in free speech, right? You believe that people shouldn't censor you, right? Like, you'd hate that. You're, you know, a rebel, just like everybody else. Well done, you. Bye-bye. Khalid says, Drew McIntyre is my favourite to win. Leon has Drew. Jack has Drew. Mark says, I want Logan for the trolls, but Drew will win. That would be funny. That would be very funny. Everyone say hi to the troll and bye to the troll. One says Drew. Bailey has Drew winning as well. D. Freeman has Drew for the win with Logan Paul, one of the last two. That could be fun. King Azza says, I want Randy to win, but it's going to be Drew. Rizar saying Drew McIntyre as well. Blue says, Tom, can you see Seth versus Drew turning into Seth versus Drew versus Sammy, especially if Priest is walking out champ? Nope. Drew's got to be screwed. Seth's got to be screwed. Seth versus Drew with Damian Priest cashing in for a heist of the century all over again. Callie says, evening, Tom. Evening, Callie. Eric says, good evening, Tom. How are you doing? Doing very well, thank you. Welcome to the show. Hector says, Drew is really using social media to his advantage in this heel run. When constantly trolls his opponents on X, it's a nice addition to an already good heel character, and he's totally winning at Chamber. Raymond says, hi, troll, bye, troll. Wallen says, adios, troll. Chris has Drew to win. Brad says, hi, troll, bye, troll. Khalid says, hi, troll, and bye, troll. By the way, we're on 39 likes. One more gets us to 40. We have 74 people watching here. What usually happens, for every like, we get another viewer, or potentially two. There are times, at least until about 100 viewers, that we have double the amount of viewers as we do likes. If we get this ball rolling, if we get those likes coming in, the channel goes boom. So if you can, please do consider hitting that like button. Razal says, do you think Sammy will be on the WrestleMania card? Find it hard seeing where he currently fits in. There was a suggestion in the chat a couple of days ago. Gunter would be a good shout. Alyssa says, Drew McIntyre is boring, no character. He is one of the most, one of the highest rated personalities in WWE right now. I entirely disagree. Eric says, all of the elimination predictions. Wait for it, Eric. Wait for it. We're doing it one at a time. It'll be fun. Chris says Drew will win, but I do think this match will set up other feuds heading into Mania. I agree. For example, Kevin Owens, LA Knight, and Logan Paul. Rick says, I don't see Finn leaving WWE, but then again, he might want to go back to Japan. Roger says, do you agree with 2K giving Logan Paul 90 rating? I don't. Yes, I do. Primarily because he's a heel and you're supposed to hate him. Coup43 says, any interest in Keith Lee from Triple H? Not sure at this point. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. And Joey says, it feels like WWE is building up Chad Gable now. Do you see him facing Gunter? It's not impossible. It's not impossible. They have some very good history. Razar says, Drew being a generational hater is one of the best things in WWE right now. Alex says, I know Drew will win, I just want Randy to win. D. Freeman says, wouldn't a Damian Priest cash in turn Drew face? No, because he'd cash in on Seth Rollins as well. Blue says, Drew's Twitter game has 99% more character than most wrestlers have in total, and Roger thinks Drew will win. Next prediction, because we've got two left. Firstly, the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Women's Elimination Chamber. We have Liv Morgan, we have Raquel Rodriguez, we have Naomi, we have Tiffany Stratton, we have Bianca Belair, and we have Becky Lynch. This is a tricky one because you literally can only bet on one person. There is such an overwhelming favourite that it's difficult to even look at what other people are doing. Now, Bianca Belair versus Naomi may have been mentioned for WrestleMania. There is still a possibility of Jade Cargill getting involved, but Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax still seems to be on the agenda as well. That would leave Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to get back into the tag division. And if you've been following this channel, you will know that in my opinion what is likely to happen is that the two will challenge for the tag team championships at WrestleMania. Not only will they not win, but they will fracture and Liv Morgan will have herself a good old-fashioned heel turn. That really does leave only one person. Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch has been positioned against Rhea Ripley for months now. Pretty much since the beginning. The entire last year has been a distraction. Becky Lynch going after the tag championships with Lita, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch in NXT. They were killing time. They were killing time, and the NXT run was Becky's idea of a way to help elevate other people while also getting her own moments in. She certainly was able to elevate Tiffany Stratton in a pretty monumental way that has earned Tiffany Stratton the right to be in this chamber match. It is impossible to look past Becky Lynch. It kind of has to be her. Vijit says Finn has no reason to return to Japan unless he wants to. Kervin says Sami Zayn versus Gunther sounds interesting for Mania. Callie says, are you doing a watch along for the Chamber? I love the fact that it's on at a sociable hour in the UK. Yes, I am. As soon as this stream finishes, I will be launching the Go Live page. It will be going live at 9 AM UK time. Raymond has Becky. Alyssa says, problem have Drew McIntyre. Hot, cold career, no zero personality. You're right, there is no zero personality. He is all personality. Alan says Becky Lynch. Jack says Becky. Khalid says the man, Becky Lynch will win. Juan has Becky. Brad has Becky too. David has Becky. Razar says the way WWE have been telegraphing Becky winning makes you think she might not. It might be Liv. I might be crazy. I don't know. You might indeed. Mark says Tiffy time, but it's going to be Becky. Blue says Becky, Becky, Becky. King Alder says Becky will win. Sadly, it's too predictable. Ed says anyone but Becky. Do you like any of the horsewomen? Ed, like you got in a lot of trouble with the Sasha Banks stands, I tell you that. Bailey says winner Becky Lynch, unless they want to go with Raquel in a complete swerve, which I don't see. Welcome Aviation, you are of course welcome to lurk. I appreciate you shouting out about it. Blue says the thing I'm most curious about is who pins Bianca. If it's her versus Naomi at Mania, that could be a fun way to start it. Yes, it could. D. Freeman says Becky with a man slam for the win. Callie says great news, Tom. Thank you, Callie. Appreciate that. Vijit says Becky for sure. Alex says what do you think happens on the Waller effect? I'll do that one next. Alyssa says did hear WrestleMania do cold openings the Rocky movie. Cool. Kervin says I got referred versus Rhea Ripley Mania 40 dream match. Everybody want to see. You got referred. Becky? Is that predictive? Ed says Charlotte and Bailey are fantastic. Okay, so you do have your favourites, and that's fair. I can't... My pen fell. I can't really argue with that, to be fair, Ed. The Grayson Waller effect, let's be honest, I think we can all see where this one is going. If the intention is for Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins to tag against The Rock and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, here's a jump-off point and an opportunity to get them involved in a tag team match to warm them up. It is a lot like many historical tag teams. I do remember the days when Breezango was Nikki Bella. Yeah. John Cena and Nikki Bella were taking on Breezango dressed as them. Weird times. So this is a great opportunity to get Grayson Waller on the card. He is considered to be someone who is fully deserving of it. To keep the push going for Austin Theory, it won't be a particularly long match, but it won't be the squash that was originally planned between Brock Lesnar and Dominic Mysterio. I don't think I need to ask, how things are going there. Wrestler Fantasy says, according to PWInsider, Jade Cargill may not wrestle at WrestleMania 40 and not wrestle until after Mania. As I mentioned on Friday's stream, the WWE are not necessarily of the belief that Jade Cargill is fully ready yet. Eric says, I see Bianca Belair versus Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania 40. Not an impossibility. Michael says, what was WWE's force on Austin Theory getting into it with the media in Australia? My personal opinion is that was staged. Joey says, I hope it doesn't happen. That tag match sounds lame. Coup43 says, what was WWE's reaction to the Austin Theory interview? Ed says, wasn't that Miz and Maurice? Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. I know that match was going to be Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella, but I believe at the time, Miz and Maurice were also dressing as John Cena and Nikki Bella. Because after WrestleMania, Shinsuke Nakamura debuted, and then that all changed. Dane says it was said that due to a personal issue that Hangman Adam Page may not be able to make AEW Revolution, so they shot the injury angle as an explanation if needed. Source Wrestle Purists. That's not the source is Fightful Select. Wrestle Purists used Fightful Select as a source. They sourced it. I need you to quote the actual source, mate. Read to the bottom of it. Read to the bottom. King Azza says, I see Grayson causing tension between Cody and Seth. I don't see that. Zayn has Becky winning as well. Raymond says, will Seth need be okay to compete in a tag at Chamber? He is not, to my knowledge, fully 100%, but he can compete, test the water a little bit, and he'll be in a tag team match so we can see how it goes. He won't be that involved. Kevin says, referee versus Rhea Ripley Mania 14 needs to happen. Which referee is that? Ray has Becky. Ken says, hi Tom, does WWE still see Liv as someone who can win the world title again? Yes, they do. Alex says, is The Rock actually not going to be there? For Triple H saying he wouldn't be there makes me think The Rock would be there. That's something that Vince McMahon taught you. Triple H has been teaching you differently. Joey says, why don't they just put Jade down in NXT for a bit instead of making her sit around? Because they don't want to do that. Roger has Becky. Khalid says, I could see Paul Heyman making an appearance during the Grayson Waller effect. Possible, not impossible. It was indeed Fightful Michael. Wrestler Fan says, SE Scoops reported John Cena may wrestle or just appear at WrestleMania 40. He absolutely may. He also may not. That's not a report. That's a guess. Eddie says, Tony maybe is the mud. Okay, so you're trying to suggest that Tony Khan's in the mud? He's not. You're not always going to win the awards. Number of the Devil says, did I miss the plans for Jade Cargill? The plans for Jade Cargill, to my knowledge, have not changed, but we discussed Jade Cargill in more detail on Fridays. This is Friday. On Mondays. Spoiler warning. This leaves what I expect to be the main event of Elimination Chamber. Rhea Ripley defending the Women's World Championship against Nia Jax. The reason Nia Jax defeated Becky Lynch so handily is for this moment, when you might just believe that one, Nia Jax can do it, and two, that even after Becky Lynch wins in the Elimination Chamber, she might go after Nia Jax after all. A story is already there. Let's not mess around here. Rhea Ripley will be retaining the championship. The crowd will go wild. And Becky Lynch, who I think might be on commentary, will have a stare down with her to finish the show. I honestly think we might even see a handshake, so a soft face turn for Rhea Ripley. But to be fair, the Rhea Ripley who's wrestling Nia Jax is already a face, because of the two Rhea Ripleys, she's the champion. Vijit says, who would put Cena over this time? Again, he may not. There is no evidence one way or the other. Raymond says Rhea. Brad says Rhea. Alan says Rhea. Bailey says Rhea. One says Mammy Rhea. Someone's convinced. Number of the Devil says, is Jade facing Bianca or Nia? Again, I've covered that in great detail, Number of the Devil. Great detail. As to everything I know. Ed says Mammy is always on top. Michael says, how can WWE be voted high in the worst show in promotion, but Triple H voted as the Booker of the Year? Very easily. It's Wrestling Observer fans. They just pick based on the individual moment. Roger says, Killian Dane had a match against Eric Young in TNA. Cool. King Azza says, Rhea wins, then Becky comes face to face. Mark has Mammy. Khalid has Mammy. Rhea Ripley retains. Learning a lot about your kinks, guys. Wasn't quite ready for it, but also not going to kink shame. You're welcome. Leon says, Nia Jax for sure. Very obvious. Alyssa says there's interest from WWE in collaborating with Sylvester Stallone for WrestleMania XL in some form. Alyssa, you may have said that, but that's apparently you sourcing it. So if WWE doesn't collaborate with Sylvester Stallone for WrestleMania XL, you have personally chosen to take the reputation hit. You have to source it. Give me your source. Blue says, Nia Jax takes the title because I love chaos. Would be funny. Jack says Rhea. Rizal says, Nia Jax main eventing a stadium PLE was not something I expected in 2024. Good for her. I've been saying it for a while now, guys. She's earning rave reviews. Callie says, Rhea will win. Surely she can't lose in her home country. Say that to Indy Hartwell. Kelly says, definitely Tom. We're getting face-to-face Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch. Keem, we are aware that The Rock returned. Gotcha. For this upcoming SmackDown, yep, literally my next piece of news, let's dive into it, is on The Rock's schedule. What I've been told very bluntly is that we should expect to see more of The Rock than not of The Rock until WrestleMania. Now, he may be doing some double tapings as he did last time, but we are expecting to see plenty of The Rock on SmackDown. Very little, if any, of The Rock on Raw. His Friday nights are a lot more available. The Rock has dived full face first into his schedule in support of Roman Reigns. He's also indulging in a lot of meetings with Triple H. As I say, expect more of The Rock They're not The Rock in the days to come, building up to WrestleMania. Hello, Daniel. How are you doing? Also, hello, team. Nice to see you. Alex says 2K posted a season pass picture of a lot of hints of people that's going to be in there. I can't see anything to do with CM Punk. Literally my next piece of news. Thank you, Aled. Let's dive into that one. So Brock Lesnar is going to be in 2K24. However, they will be locking him off so that you can't access him. The idea is in a day one patch, they will eliminate him from the essential system. Now, this does give them the opportunity in the last seconds to finish the CM Punk model, which they are trying desperately to do because they do believe CM Punk will shift more copies, which is not an unfair concept. However, if not, he will be released as DLC, as first reported on the Tom Colohue channel many moons ago. We now have 49 likes, one away from 50. There are 77 people here. That means we have, I can do this, 28 people who've not yet hit like. Minimum. Just one, guys. Just one. Be the one. Be the one. There goes my hero. Watch them as they hit like. There they are. Camo says, what up, Tom? Glad I'm here. Better late than never. Hope you're well. Doing very well, Camo. Welcome. King Adam says, I'd like to see Nia versus Becky at WrestleMania 40 for the championship. I know it won't happen. Roger says, I don't think Jade Cargill will ever be ready because will never be a good wrestler, in my opinion. Coop43 says the Sylvester news is via WrestleVotes. It is indeed. Thank you, Coop43, for clarifying on that one. Leon says, do you think we'll ever see Brock back in WWE? Personally, no. Stranger things have happened. Mixu says, regarding Punk, when do you think he'll return? Winning the Bank, SummerSlam, Berlin. I think a lot of them are a bit too soon for the amount of time he is expected to be out. Being injured at the Royal Rumble does mean that it will be at least 6 months minimum, depending on how well he does in his recovery. My expectation is that he'll be involved in SummerSlam, likely against Drew McIntyre. Jack says, Nia Jax is from Australia. She was born in Sydney, then moved to New South Wales, then to the United States. It'll be a double Australian main event. Kelly says, I don't know what you mean, but this is Rhea bloody Ripley. Selvig says, hello Tom, hope you're doing well. Is the Stallone nose true? Also, what's the plan for Jade Cargill? Like post-Chamber, does she have a storyline? There are storyline plans for Jade Cargill. Nothing has been distinctly finalised. However, the plan for a long time has been Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill for WrestleMania. The injury to Charlotte Flair may change that, but there's also the possibility for Bianca Belair to now face Naomi. As regards Stallone, I didn't report it, and honestly, at this point, I'm not sure. Zane, if you're going to bring JD from NY in here, you're not going to be staying here too long. I've heard some of the things that that guy has said. It is truly disgusting, some of the crap that has come out of his mouth. Now, I don't know what he said about Jade Cargill. I don't care enough about him to actually go and look for it. But the fact that he said something about a woman and she blocked him, based on his history, I'm suggesting that he said something truly disgusting. So if you think he was right, that's not looking good, mate. That's not looking good. Razar says, is WWE just going to erase Brock from existence? Nope, they're just going to not talk about him for a while and pretend he's not there. One says, maybe if AEW puts Mercedes money and Edge on the next video game cover, some casuals will buy it. I think that's what made the first video game sales tank when they took Punk off the cover. I would not go that far. Would not go that far. They put a lot of effort into that video game. Their fan base is not that large that it's going to be a massive mainstream hit. Blue says, Nia makes the most sense for Jade because a short match of impressive strength spots will work best for Jade if she isn't ready. She did look a bit nervy at the Rumble. That has always been the plan. Unless it's now changed, as I said, the injury to Charlotte Flair does have a chance to change things. Smurfy Tunes Gaming, as regards JD, says he said bad things about Alexa Bliss. He said disgusting things about Alexa Bliss. Let's not mince words. King Azza says, Punk getting injured was a blessing in disguise, and I see Seth costing Cody the championship at WrestleMania 40. It's interesting in my opinion. I don't see that one happening. Joey says, could Bianca face Tiffany at Mania? Kelvin says, can we see blood or blood capture Elimination Chamber or not? Maybe. Depends if someone takes a bad hit or not. Mixu says, random question, but is Wade Keller reliable? I worked for Wade Keller for years. I am just very shortly coming off a 3-year stint working as a podcaster for Wade Keller. I would not work for the man if I didn't believe him to be reliable. Rosar says, I think it's going to be Bianca versus Tiffany. let's jump into this, guys. Let's dive into it. Let's ask the question. Let us ask the question, okay? Let's do it. Who do you want Bianca Belair to face at WrestleMania? Who do you want Jade Cargill to face at WrestleMania? Give me the answer to those two questions. And yes, I'll take one answer if the answer is each other. While you're doing that, let's talk Jennifer Pepperman. There is a big change coming to AEW. A big change that will be very visible on TV. Tony Khan, for the longest time, has been the sole voice of creative. He's been booking everything, particularly since Kenny Omega stopped booking the women's division personally. Now, with the issues between the executive vice presidents and CM Punk, a lot of power was taken away from the executive vice presidents. This left everything on Tony Khan's shoulders, and to be blunt, I don't think he's been handling it too well. One of the biggest issues with AEW is how often we are seeing one or two storylines be fantastic, focused, driven, logical, and then everything else is forgotten about apart from Toni Storm, who basically just books herself. That's about to change. Bryan Danielson is believed to have been the first person to approach the topic of help and support for Tony Khan, building an actual creative team around him and beneath him. They brought in a number of different people, some of whom wrote for reality TV or more mainstream TV. Jennifer Pepperman is indeed one of them, who left the WWE under a job offer from AEW. Now, honestly, that would be considered contract tampering. So saying, oh, she knew AEW were interested, so she left, is going to raise some ire. However, to my knowledge, that's kind of what happened, particularly with how quickly she's moved from one spot to another. Now, there are rumours out there, particularly from Dave Meltzer, that Mercedes Money specifically requested, bring this person or I won't sign. I want this person as a personal writer. Nope. Nearly, but nope. Mercedes Money is not believed to have requested Jennifer Pepperman, but she is believed to have recommended Jennifer Pepperman when Tony Khan was looking for people to head up the writing for the women's division. He was looking for options, he was looking for suggestions. Mercedes Money is not shy. Jennifer Pepperman will be heading up the AEW women's section for the creative team, but there are a number of other people who will be brought in to assist Tony Khan. Long term, I think this is a very good thing for AEW and will mean that a lot of lower card feuds will no longer be written by Chris Jericho. Razar says, what have you thought about the recent production changes to WWE since Kevin Dunn left? It's a lot less wild, it's a lot less crazy, and it's a lot less dizzying, so I'll take it. Sovic wants Bianca versus Jade, Aled wants Bianca versus Jade, Matthew wants Bianca versus Jade, Juan wants Bianca versus Jade, Brad wants Bianca versus Naomi and Jade versus Nia. King Azza wants Bianca versus Tiffany and Jade versus Nia. Callie says, do you think Jay and Jimmy will face each other at WrestleMania? Every single week I seem to answer this question. Nothing has changed. Yes, they are going to face each other at WrestleMania. David has Jade versus Nia and Tiffany versus Bianca. Mark wants Bianca to face Jade, but Jade to face Nia and Tiffany to beat Bianca. Leon says Tiffany, then with Jade, I'd rather her not on the Mania card, to be honest. Eric says Bianca versus Tiffany and Jade Cargill versus Nia. Camo says Bryan Danielson is a smart man. I'm hoping that Tony Khan would listen to him as a voice of reason. He did. Khalid has Bianca versus Naomi and Jade versus Nia Jax. Kelvin says, wait, Kenny Omega booking women's division. That's why women don't have good storyline for years. Kenny Omega booked the women's division from the beginning. If even they haven't had them for years, then you clearly believe that they did originally have them, in which case Kenny Omega is why. Ed says, wasn't Jennifer Pepperman the person in the lawsuit dealing with racism in the writing room in WWE? She was accused of racism, yes. Once again, we have to remind ourselves of the word accusations. It may be a good idea at some point. This weekend will be the John Laurinaitis video, but would you be interested in a Jennifer Pepperman video for WTF Wrestling? Khalid says, Tom, I'm glad Rob Van Dam is in AEW. I like watching him on TV. Smurfy Toon says, will he be getting WWE 2K24? I'm not sure. Genuinely not sure. I remain unconvinced on WWE wrestling games. I was a No Mercy guy. To be fair, I was actually a WrestleMania 2000 guy. Mazar says, one thing I think AEW needs to work on is making certain storylines exclusive to one show. Not everyone watches every show weekly. Possibly. That is one of the things that's actually working on this YouTube channel. Brad's interested. Ed interested as well. Good to know. Good to know. Khalid interested. David is interested. Juan's interested. Maggie Loss, welcome back. Says yes to the Peppermint story. You may have been lurking, but I just wanted to say hello. Zane says WWE will not push Naomi as a top star of a title run like TNA did. That's correct. They will push her as they intend to instead. Mark says yes as well. Q43 says, do you know why Omega stopped booking the women's division? Man got busy. And Number of the Devil, at this point in time, I will not be commenting on anything involving Janelle Grant's lawsuit against Vince McMahon and the WWE. All of the details that I can share will be in WTF Wrestling, where there is a lot more research, and I'm able to edit out and double check anything I've said, which could potentially be incorrect. This is a live stream. I'm a lot more careful. Michael says, would Jennifer really be considered contract tampering if she just has a normal 9-to-5 job? That entirely depends on the interpretation of the WWE. Callie's interested as well. Maggie says, thank you, Tom. Good to be here. Welcome. Bailey said, Jennifer Pepperman was only accused, but she is still hireable. Why then is Brock Lesnar getting ridden out of 2K24 on an accusation? Okay. It's a very different situation. I know that they're both bad. But what I will say is that the Brock situation is fresh. Yeah. Also, and I've mentioned this before, Brock Lesnar's okay with it. He's okay with it. Okay? That's the main difference. Callie says, do you have another page? What is WTF Wrestling? Callie. So, on my YouTube page, there is a live section, there are short sections, there are video sections. If you scroll down slightly on the main page, there's a For You section, and then there is a playlist of WTF Wrestling. I'm really proud of WTF Wrestling, and I suggest you give it a go. The last video on Ashley Mazzaro and her accusations against WWE and Vince McMahon has now reached 2,000 views, which I'm pretty happy about. Yeah, fresh. Felt weird saying it. But yeah, we have WTF Wrestling. We have the Fun Fact Thursdays, which does continue to get views bit by bit. It'll snowball as it goes and as I create more. And we also have PLE Wednesdays. Can I just say, my plan, and I've laid this out a couple of times, but I'll do it one more time, for YouTube is really quite simple. It's based on viewing habit. If you're only interested in spoiler warning, YouTube will give you spoiler warning after spoiler warning after spoiler warning. They're in their own playlist. And I make sure that all of them go out to everyone who regularly watches. If you only watch WTF Wrestling, guess what YouTube's going to send you? Just WTF Wrestling. It won't even recommend spoiler warning. You'll get maybe one a month where it's like, well, you have like this. Would you like some of this? No? Okay, we'll leave you be for a bit. Also a good thing. WTF, the actual retention rate on those videos is incredible. They're really starting to do fantastic numbers. There's also PLE Wednesdays, same thing. That's for more casual viewership, who are just basically interested in watching stuff about Elimination Chamber. That brings viewers in. WTF Wrestling is more for you guys who are regularly watching. PLE Wednesdays brings people in. And we've also got Fun Fact Thursdays, which is for incredibly casual viewers who just want to learn a few fun facts about a wrestler. Could be fun. So yeah, that's the intention, and because of each individual having different viewing habits, you will be advertised whatever you regularly watch. I'm being a bit more clever with it. I've learned about YouTube, and it's working. No need to be sorry, Callie. Michael says WTF video on Jennifer would be really cool. Alex says, send another screenshot of your news being taken to the Discord. Is this Christoph again? I'm saving every single one of those screenshots. If ever it does go viral, I will just publicise the reality of the situation. Thank you very much for that, Aled. I appreciate it. More screenshots the better. Mark says, WTF Wrestling has been great for me personally as it helped me understand things more. Good to hear, Mark. That's the intention. It's a show that's designed to help everyone understand how wrestling works, how it works as a business, and just in general. Joey says, I'm curious to see what the NXT EU news is. Yep, two more things. Alyssa says, why did Drew McIntyre give victory over Cody Rhodes' face company stupid book? Why made him look bitch? What reason? Nowhere book face company. Why did lost big match Roman Reigns? Good question. Roger says, my favourite wrestling game is WrestleFest Arcade. Maggie says, feel so bad for Ashley Mazzaro's family having to relive all this. Hope things get resolved once and for all for them. Not that it'll bring their loved one back. It will not. Closure is hard to come by and often is not the most rewarding. Callie says, I don't remember the Thursdays live. Is this new? It's not Thursday. It's Friday. Today's Friday. We don't do Thursday lives. We do Monday and Friday lives. Spoiler warning is still the flagship, but WTF and PLE are becoming pretty key as well. Alex says, Tom, you need a table on the wall because tables are kind of important here. Fair. And Khalid says, Tom, you have the best wrestling YouTube channel. My friend, thank you very kindly, Khalid. I've said this to several people. I'll say it again. If at any point people are happy with how I'm developing here on YouTube, and can I just say, doing brilliantly. Fun Fact Thursday isn't live, Khalid. That's recorded. It's recorded. But if you click on one in the playlist, it'll give you the rest of the playlist as well. So you'll get to learn a lot about a lot of people. Where was I? Yes. If anyone does want a bit of mentoring, that's an option available to anyone. So if that's something that interests you, please do let me know. Bailey says, do you have a sneak peek of the Elimination Chamber overlay available? Not quite yet, guys. It will be tomorrow, bright and early, for anyone who wants to join us. Pete says, you are the flagship. I don't know if that's an insult or not, but I'll take it as a compliment. Welcome, Pete. How you doing, mate? Blue says, have you considered mailbags leading to Mania like last year? The reason we did the mailbags essentially was because the actual news shows were being derailed by the sheer amount of questions that were coming in. Things have calmed down a little bit more, so I don't feel the need to do them. But depending how things build up, maybe that is something we need to consider. Murphy Toon says, what match are you looking forward to in the Chamber pay-per-view? Both of the Chambers and also Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. Maggie says, love your calm and sensible manner on this show. So refreshing. Thank you kindly. That's what I aim for, Maggie. I aim to inform without prejudice and without hyperbole, without clickbaiting anyone, you know? I just like to talk. Alyssa says, why are Bucks Cody Rhodes week going into WrestleMania? Because he's going to come out of it looking amazing. Cheers, Pete. Blue says, so weird here tomorrow for EC. Tomorrow, so that's at 2 a.m. for me, just feels like tonight. Leon says, what's been your favourite video to make? WTF for a long time. My intention long term is to use our Discord to essentially create a more polished newsroom where we can share news, share events, and also when something big breaks and I go live, we can share it real time. Also, it can help with the research for shows like WTF Wrestling. And then that research becomes available for everyone. So it's not just about me making a video. All of the information will be there if you want to make a video on the same topic at some point. That's the hope. That's the plan. Should be a good one. Fair enough, Aled. We'll see you in a bit. Maggie says, love the no clickbait. Try my best. Khalid says, as soon as you go live at 9 a.m, I'll definitely be there to support your channel. Elimination Chamber is indeed Saturday morning, Pete. It is, in fact, less than 12 hours away. Speaking of Elimination Chamber, we have just been through probably the least eventful media round in wrestling history. There were hundreds of interviews conducted with stars like Rhea Ripley, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, Nia Jax. Nothing seems to have come out of it. Nothing. There seems to have been no headlines. I am wondering if any of the actual big hitters have flown out, because the WWE, here's a fun scoop for you, WWE are trying to phase out a lot of the big name wrestling journalists. They're just trying to phase them out in the name of rotation. They want New York Times, Wall Street Journal. They wanted Vice, but that's not happening now. They want the mainstream media. These days are not yet there. Murphy says, what match are you looking forward to in the Chain pay-per-view? Just answered that one as well. NXT Europe. The NXT Europe signings are nowhere close to finalised, with almost an entire roster, which was expected to be ready to go sooner rather than later, completely missing in action. Progress has not just stalled, but seemingly been abandoned. Many wrestlers who were in NXT UK or are currently in the NXT developmental system were expecting to be offered a deal for Europe. They've not received any offer. Indie wrestlers in the UK have received alternative offers regarding a wrestling TV show, but nothing from WWE. At this point in time, I will not be going into more detail. Let's just say I'm fishing a little bit on that one. NXT Europe nowhere close to having the signings finalised. It doesn't seem at this point in time like they're making any progress on it. I can only assume that this is intentional. Finally, a little bit as regards Netflix. So Netflix plans, and one of the reasons they have assumed control of so much WWE content, is to bring back a live TV appointment viewing vibe. The idea of all of these streaming sites is that they will become the one, the only, the de facto streaming site. And having a live service certainly helps that if they want to make massive events that are unmissable. Being able to say, we are Netflix, we have WrestleMania, it'll be here live, be here at this time, is a pretty big thing for Netflix. Guarantees them a huge amount of viewership, and it means a spike on their servers at one time, guaranteeing more ad revenue and the like. It is very possible, of course, that they'll be able to put ad ticks over the top of the show. Now, they're not just planning wrestling, they're also planning comedy specials, music, and TV premieres. They want that appointment viewing back, like Raw and SmackDown in the old days, like the most recently Game of Thrones thing, where you all sit down, tune in at once to watch a show. During the Game of Thrones days, I remember waking up at 3 a.m. to watch a show. They want to bring that back. Now, the intention is not for a live 24/7 channel. The intention is to have set live appointments and premieres. So the idea is that they will be able to advertise on their front page, go to your live section, this is the next big event. As you scroll through, it'll be continue watching, it'll be recommended, it'll be for you, it'll be live. When you click on it, it'll be sending you reminders onto your watch list. It's pretty standard fare, and it does tell you a lot about what their plans are going to be going forwards. Alyssa says, more women on show Elimination Chamber, appreciated, deserve it. Mark's just very confused. Blue says, I was afraid of NXT Europe not happening. Xia Brookside just signed with TNA, so it made me think it might not be happening. A lot of people seemingly not willing to wait for the offer. The offers are not coming in. Joey says, which wrestlers are being discussed to sign for NXT EU? At this point in time, I'm not going to name names. Khalid says, Tom, the spoiler warning has been helping me with my mental health. Gets me excited, so thank you, Tom, my friend. You're very welcome, sir. Very welcome. We will be live tomorrow morning, my time, middle of the night for many of you, for Elimination Chamber. I'm going to wake up early, going to have myself some breakfast, and I'm going to go mental for a bit of wrestling. I'm really excited to finish watching wrestling, and it'll be light outside. I cannot wait. Be sure to join me then. But in the meantime, that has been Spoiler Warning. That is all of the news we have at this point in time. I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and we will see you all very soon.